Today we're going to be talking about the fact that your Wi-Fi and internet are not the same thing. My name is Steve, this is TQA Weekly, and most of us have mobile devices that connect over cellular or home or work internet connections if we're not using internet connections in public spaces. Now, the problem with Wi-Fi is it's kind of a subject of confusion that I want to deliberately explain the confusion away today. I want you to understand the very premise of why Wi-Fi and internet are not the same thing. Starting with the fact that Wi-Fi itself is simply a wireless Ethernet cable. It is wirelessly connecting to an Ethernet network, and it has to obey all of the same rules as all networking. Meaning that in the perfect world where a router can address every single part of the subnet address book that it would have, basically all the connections that it could possibly address, you would not be able to connect more than 255 devices at once in any network under a single subnet, because that's all the space there is to address. That's it. So if 256 people try to connect, I know there's 256 slots, but if 256 tried, that last one couldn't because the router counts as the first one. And then there's only 255 available spaces, meaning that there would have been an attempt at 257 connections, which simply is not possible. So there's that. It still has to obey the same rules of networking. Now, Wi-Fi, unlike wired Ethernet, also has to deal with radio signal interference or electromagnetic interference, also channel overlapping from other wireless networks around. The more dense the population that you live in, the more wireless networking, the more issues you are going to have. Bad Wi-Fi does not mean bad internet, because radio signal interference is definitely a problem, and it will be more and more and more of a problem until they just simply figure out how to deal with all the interference itself. So wired internet connections are a lot better than Wi-Fi because of radio signal interference or electromagnetic interference. Range is also an issue because of all those radio signal interference and electromagnetic interferences that you can have inside of an environment. A wired connection tends to have a lot greater range than a wireless connection. We are basically trading usability for convenience. Wired connections are not convenient if it's a mobile device, but you are susceptible to all of the other problems that convenience has with it. Also, Wi-Fi can be isolated from the internet. You see, a network does not need to have access to the internet to be called a network. A network simply needs to allow two or more devices to be able to talk to each other. So you could, in theory, have a closed network with strong Wi-Fi and no interference. It would allow you to connect to multiple resources on your own network without access to the internet. So Wi-Fi, by default, right there is shown to not necessarily mean that it would be connected to the internet. I know a lot of mobile devices will just simply switch to something with the internet, but it's not required to be part of a network. So that's all it is. Wi-Fi is just wireless Ethernet. Now, if you really wanted to prank somebody, it is possible to isolate a network from the internet and use access point separation, basically. So AP isolate to block the device from talking to other devices. It will connect to Wi-Fi. It will connect to the network. It won't be able to talk to other devices, and if you're removing the internet from the equation altogether, it simply will exist in a bubble. It's a pretty good prank, but it will get annoying very fast. Also, let's talk about the fact that internet is not equal between hardwired and Wi-Fi. See, because of all of the issues that we can have with interference and range issues that have to do with Wi-Fi, it is possible for Wi-Fi to be complete junk while hardline internet is fine. And the opposite is also completely possible. The entire network can go down because there wouldn't be any internet, but it wouldn't mean that the signal strength of Wi-Fi was shrunk too. Because of this, it is possible for you to have issues with Wi-Fi while still be able to use your computer. And to be able to diagnose the internet, just about every ISP out there will ask you to physically connect to your router or your modem to make sure that you're actually experiencing a downed internet connection, which a lot of them can detect from their own side by connecting to their modem. It is for this reason that you have to understand that Wi-Fi is not internet. Wi-Fi is simply an extension of a router, allowing you to connect devices via wireless Ethernet, a convenience that also has a lot of cons associated with it. Now, if you like this episode, like it, dislike it if you didn't, share with those that you think could benefit from this, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com or go to my website, tqaweekly.com, where you can see the show notes on this episode, past others, find other ways of subscribing, and of course, use the contact form and email me directly. And if you want to see me play video games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, head over to twitch.tv/zaxis1981, where I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's see you there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.